What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up? What up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Would you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
What's up, Rebels? Welcome back to Rebel Radio, the weekly show where I bring you the rebels that are shaping youth culture. We find out how they do it, why they do it, and what you can do to get a little piece of the pie for yourself. We're also the only show to bring you new music every week from our friends over at EDM.com. I'm Josh Levine, and my guest this week is Nathan Bell. You might have seen Nathan's work all over the Nike website or in your local Nike stores. Nathan designed a new collection for Nike running, and it's pretty interesting because running is not typically a category where they're incorporating art and that kind of thing. That's usually more in the lifestyle or basketball. So we get into that a little bit, and we talk about Nathan's journey as an artist, entrepreneur. I love this guy's humility. He's just a really interesting cat, talking about his art and his process and how some of these things are just happening for him and how he's responding to it. It's good stuff coming up on Rebel Radio right after the EDM.com track of the week.
Shit's for real, there's no funny. We don't shift weight to the funny. Vacate till we run it. Money, cash stacks in abundance. These bougie hoes saying something. Subject, I'll be scrolling.
That was Dimes with Frontin', the EDM track of the week. If you like that one, get over to EDM.com, check out more new music. And right now, let's get into the interview with Nathan Bell.
Still chasing money with the bros. Gang, wind down with some MJ door girl saying she can smell it on my clothes. What up? That abstract cash rap, dope like I've been making money.
Thanks for doing this, man. I'm excited to get to know you. It's these are like, you know, a lot of my guests are people I know. You know, Roger, you know, I've worked with a bunch of times over the years, and like, but it's always fun to just like reach out to people, and you know, who knows if anyone's gonna get back to you or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I appreciate you doing that. I think I just hit you on Instagram.
Yeah, no, it was a welcomed inquiry. Like, I'm a little nervous because I've never done a podcast before. But
well,
I think I went on a friend's radio show like a while back, but that was mostly just to play records,
right?
Not really like an interview. But
sure.
No,
well,
it's cool. Like,
don't be nervous. It's gonna be good.
Cool.
It's gonna be good. That's cool. So, so I just learned about you. It's always funny when so I learned about you. I think on Nike.com, seeing the new collection.
Yeah.
And then, or it might have been Hypebeast, either one. But and then I'm like, oh, I never heard of this guy. And then I look, and you have like this great body of work, and you've done a ton of shows, and even now, just talking about the agency stuff, like there's, you have all these layers.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I guess I just try and keep it interesting and just kind of go with the flow on these different projects, and yeah, just trying to have fun in general. But
so yeah, tell me about how you got started. I know. So I know that music is a big part of you and and of your art. Even, do you remember the first record you ever bought?
I think I do, and it's kind of embarrassing actually. I was a CD guy. I mean, I had tapes and stuff, but like I want to say, shit. Well, I guess I remember the first CD I bought was that Offspring first album.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think back tapes before that. I was big in the singles. I bought a lot of singles.
Yeah, of course. Well, especially as a kid, you know, you don't have necessarily album money.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You always got a couple dollars for a single.
And my dad had like his record collection.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of tapes. I stole tapes from my mom too. And yeah, for some reason I can't remember the first tape I bought, but I'm almost positive Offspring's first album was the first CD, which is kind of embarrassing. But
was that
at the time it was like in the Midwest, I was just like, oh, this is amazing. Like,
sure.
I was always into like the like Southern California scene in general, so like that type of music was like straight out of there. So yeah.
And was that your music? Were you a punk rock kid growing up?
No. I mean, I'm kind of similar how I am now. Like I'm just all over the place. Like I was big into hip hop, like anything like that I could get my hands on. Like I remember definitely having like the Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders tape. Like played the shit out of that. And yeah, like I said, definitely got into like the pop punk stuff for a while. Then like there was an emo phase.
Okay.
Like then I moved to San Diego. My friends there listened to like kind of more metal like
Yeah.
type stuff. So I kind of try and take it all in, and that's
Sure.
how I am now. Like I'll DJ sometimes, and it's just like all over the place. Like
Yeah.
might annoy people actually because it's a little bit like a little too eclectic. But I don't know. I think I just get bored with just listening to one genre.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
um,
I mean, it's funny you say though, because like, there's definitely for me, you know, sometimes I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? You know, that I like that record or whatever. And then I've also found that like my tolerance, like, so I'm like not a pop guy at all. Like I dislike
yeah.
pop music generally, but it's much easier for me to listen to pop from earlier generations.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I fuck with Madonna's first album,
Oh yeah.
right?
Love
Like,
Madonna.
but not at the time.
Yeah.
At the time of like, that's for girls or it's like cheesy, whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's like, those are great. There's a couple great songs on there, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like the older you get too, you expand your taste a little bit more.
Sure.
Like I definitely I'm into a lot of stuff nowadays that like looking back I would like think was horrible or not go near it.
What's something
I mean,
like that?
just stuff that's more on the like, I mean, not like easy listening, but just like oldies type,
Uh-huh.
like yacht rock type stuff,
okay,
like
yeah,
Michael
yeah.
McDonald and like
Yeah.
Doobie Brothers stuff, and
That's good
I'm
music,
obsessed
man.
with
But
Neil Young and like the stuff that you would just, you know, it would seem like kind of boring and just like
Right.
stuff your parents would listen to, but as you get older, you like start to like see the amazingness of like all different types of music and.
well, I think it just speaks, and it's very much the same with art, and I want to talk about that, but it speaks to the, you know, we don't get to enjoy just the sound, right? Meaning that there's all this like cultural baggage that comes with it, right? Like who's the artist? What's the genre? You know, what song did I hear before and after, right? Like all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff affects how we feel about music.
No, that's true. Yeah, yeah, the way people experience music nowadays is like completely different. And I do think there's a lot lost in the kind of having to dig for music and
Yeah,
listen
sure.
to like full albums instead of just having
too.
singles like kind of thrown at you. And yeah, it's definitely a lost art. So I definitely I collect records and,
Yeah.
and try and like experience music that way as much as possible. And obviously like support artists that I'm into by actually buying this stuff
Yeah,
and not
yeah,
just
sure.
like listening to it on Spotify.
Right.
But yeah, it's much different. Like I can't even relate to my nephew and like how he experiences music.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've tried like kind of playing stuff for him and like and he like for the longest time was just like all about YouTube and like searching stuff on YouTube, and I'm just like I can't relate to like how you're experiencing music. It's really weird to me. Like and there's something to be said about having that like kind of experience and tactile feel of like holding actual albums and
Yeah.
looking through the album artwork
Yeah,
and stuff.
totally.
I definitely learned a lot about art that way. Like I didn't have like a, you know, parents having artwork on the walls or art books or anything really. So that was like a way of like taking in artwork, even if I wasn't really like consciously like looking into like, oh, what artist did this or looking at the liner notes. It was still, that was a way of like experiencing artwork.
Sure. How'd you get started making art?
Well, I've been doing design for a long time. In high school, you know, I would draw and like do, you know, art projects and stuff. But in high school, I had like a 3-period long graphic arts
wow.
class, which was like a game changer for me.
Yeah,
like
sure.
just to have that much time and like not being these like boring kind of,
For
you know,
sure.
GE classes.
amazing.
And just be able to kind of mess around and do stuff with your hands. There was screen printing, photography.
Wow.
You know, early graphic design stuff. So that kind of like completely flipped the script for me. And once I kind of experienced graphic design, it was just like, all right, I'm locked in. I felt fortunate to actually like know what really I wanted to do at that point.
So that was like, you were hooked, like that was your path.
Yeah. I mean,
early on.
it just making stuff in that class was just like, all right, like if this can be a job, like
Yeah.
I had this like clear vision of like this, it's not this loose kind of thing of like, oh, I'm going to be an artist. It was like, oh, you get to be artistic, and I really liked working with computers and doing
Yeah.
all that and experimenting. So it was like, all right, I'm gonna be a graphic designer. Like this is how it works. And it kind of started from there, and then I ended up moving to California, which I had lived in California when I was younger for 4 years, and I had family based out here and grew up like visiting out here, and kind of just knowing in the back of my mind that like I'm eventually going to move out to the West Coast, just like being hooked on, like we said, about music and stuff, like just really into the culture and obviously the weather. So an opportunity came up like right after high school, where a friend was, he was in the Navy and he was just getting out and he decided to go to SDSU. And I was like, all right, well, here's my window to like just be his roommate and move out to San Diego. Now I know someone out there.
Yeah.
And then, I went to a small design school in San Diego and worked for a printing company, and then got connected with someone that worked at a skateboard company called Tomieto through like a friend that worked with me at the print company. So while I was in school, I ended up getting a job there, like a low-level kind of production artist, and kind of worked my way up from there. Ended up being like an art director at that company for Foundation Skateboards. And while I was there, it was like very hands-on, and I ended up using like a lot of my like written typography in the marketing and in the board graphics and stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of grew from there, because then at my next job, it was the same thing up at Soltech in Orange County. Same thing, where it's like I'm doing graphic design, but then a lot of like hand-done aesthetic worked its way into the marketing.
Yeah.
So then when it came like later on in, sorry, I'm like jumping around a lot. Like
No, this is great.
it's like I'm kind of like starting to remember the timeline.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, I'm at Soltech, and then did some stuff in between. Worked at a nonprofit for a while, and I'm freelancing. And a friend of mine, she owns a gallery over kind of in this area actually, called Ceylon Gallery. It's not around anymore, but she ended up being kind of a mentor of mine, because she was kind of just seeing stuff I was working on and just kind of kept pushing me in the more fine art direction.
Yeah.
And that was probably around 2011. And that's that motivation, and that was what really kind of like pushed me into like kind of exploring that world a little bit more.
So what'd that look like? What is her mentorship like? What'd she say?
I mean, really just the positive motivation of being like, oh, this stuff's really good, and like you should do more stuff like this, and putting me into group shows and like stuff like that. Like really, I mean, motivation and just like positivity can go a long way. So
Absolutely.
it really opened my eyes, because I'm just like stuck in this like skateboarding and marketing world, and just doing stuff for brands, and I'd never even thought about like doing stuff that would be in a gallery or that sort of thing. So I was really fortunate to like kind of have her kind of pushing me along and just being like, no, you this stuff's really good, and you should pursue it. So,
and was there like a break that, because you're kind of grinding it out as a designer, and then it sounds like you meet this woman, and that helps. Was there a show or something that?
Well,
kinda,
I
put
guess
you on the map?
I was doing that for a while, just like kind of got more serious about it. I got a studio in Chinatown and was just like, all right, I'm going to focus more on doing this fine art, quote unquote fine art work. And I'm just kind of making stuff in group shows here and there, filling it out. And then in 2017, I got my first solo show at Subliminal Projects, Shepherd's Gallery. So that was definitely a turning point for me, because it was like this really, I mean, not only is it a solo show, but it's like super official, and like, a big fan of Shepherd's and like and their gallery. So that was huge for me.
I bet.
And I mean, to kind of connect the dots.
How did it feel the night of?
Oh, it was. I mean, I was a mess, but
Were you?
Yeah, it was just. It's so. I mean, I'm a very like quiet, reserved person, so to be put like on blast like that, to be the center stage of like your own solo show was like, I mean, it's exhilarating, but it's also just like
so how's it work?
So
you get a call, or you get an email from Shepherd? Doesn't call you, and
no, yeah,
it's not like the president.
No, it wasn't that easy. It was just kind of like we had a friend that started working with the gallery, so I was like showing her work, and she ended up doing a studio visit, and it was just like the timing and kind of like pitching them on like, I actually like mocked up how stuff would look in their gallery.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, you know, just kind of showed it to them and pitched them on doing a show, and they thankfully were down. So yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that was super fun, and to kind of connect the dots. Like I had that show, and then I don't think it had even opened yet, but the gallery had already started posting kind of like teaser like stuff and flyers and images of my work, and someone at Nike had seen, like, followed the gallery or something, and then reached out to me and was like, oh, we really like your style of work, and would you like to do something for this like men's running line? So that's what kind of brought up that collaboration.
No, that's
so
great.
it was in the works
So
for
before
2
you even had
years.
the show?
Yeah.
Wow. You said it's 2 years with Nike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which shoes and bigger projects, it takes that long.
Sure.
But I think it got dragged out a little bit longer, but it was all for the best reason, because it started off as like kind of a smaller collaboration of just like, oh, I want you to do some T-shirts, and then it was like with like little direction, which was the best like case scenario ever. It's never been that easy where they're just like, yeah, do whatever you want, like we just like your style, like just go for it, you know, besides it being like this running theme. So yeah, I threw out like a ton of ideas to them, and they were like, oh, we want to use more than what we asked for, and then it just kind of kept spiraling to like, oh, we want to like do it on some shoes now, and now it's like my name's attached to it. So it just like kept spiraling for the best reason, and dragging out the timeline, but also you know, worth the wait, because it ended up being this like really great opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, super fortunate that all came together, and everyone was really great there, and so couldn't be happier on how it came out.
What happens, like, so after that gets launched, announced, or like, I don't know, you know, but after the world knows that you're now doing this project with Nike, like, does the phone start ringing? Does it change? Like, do you go out and buy a Benz?
I mean, I get invited to be on podcasts. That's a new thing.
That's right.
Yeah, it's been really wild. It's been a wild ride. I mean, I've done like I did a thing with Vans last year, and I've done like some, like, I've been out there, but I think I was kind of naive to understand the level of like exposure that like a Nike brand has. So I was like injected into this like kind of crazy world of just like, I'm definitely getting tagged by a lot of people, which is really exciting. Just like, and from all walks of life, like obviously runners and artists and just kids, adults, like everyone, like sneakerheads, like everyone's like all in the mix. So it's really cool to kind of just get all that feedback, and people get fired up about the product and my artwork in general. So that's been really cool to see.
Do you I mean, it's interesting. I was thinking about this last night, how just, you know, we obviously Nike is one of the biggest brands in the world, and has changed, you know, athletics for sure. But all of a sudden I was thinking about how much it's changed the art world, right? Like we think of, you know, I always think of the history of art and these patrons of the arts, right? The Medici's, or whoever was paying Rembrandt or like that, right? But Nike really is that in the modern time, right? And the you know, the opportunities and finance that they've put behind, you know, even just graffiti, right? We think about Futura and Stash and, you know, Cartoon, and the people that they've given this global stage to. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
No, it's great. I mean, they're super supportive artists in the art scene. And one of the things that was, I mean, they got really fired up about the whole running collaboration, because that's usually like a very kind of basic, you know, I don't want to say like, but boring kind of I mean, category. Like it's very straightforward and clean, and
for sure.
So to kind of interject this like very loose, lighthearted like art aspect to it, they got really fired up on it. So it was like a great fit, and I was essentially kind of this guinea pig for like a new program that they're going to be doing there, to kind of bring in, especially like outside, like artists that aren't necessarily like athletes or runners or whatever. It's like bringing in this new perspective to Nike and running specifically.
I mean, I think that's so smart. Like, I work with brands. I know you do, and usually, like, the normal way of doing things is like, well, who's an artist that's a runner, right? And they try to like shoehorn this thing together.
Yeah, and I think that was definitely, ideally for them, it is this like artist who also is like this big runner too, and that brings up a funny thing because the whole rollout of the campaign or of the collection, there was sites kind of covering it as me being this like quote unquote elite runner.
Oh, is that right?
Which was it was hilarious.
That's hilarious.
It couldn't be
Are
far
you an elite runner?
No, not at all. Like barely. I would even call myself a runner. So the fact that like some people were covering it that way, it was just like, it was so funny. I was like,
funny.
I don't know where they're getting this information, but
that's like,
I guess I got to start running a lot more.
That's right. Exactly. Get like photos of you out there.
Yeah.
So how did you, I read a little bit about, you talk about humor and fun, and seeing some of the designs, there's like, some of it's kind of funny, the stuff you're putting on the clothes. What was the approach? How do you sit down to like, you get the call from Nike and they're like, we want to do something with you?
Well, the approach was, I started running myself because I just wanted to get, as authentic as an experience as possible.
Oh, cool.
And I had ran a little bit, and I'm really into sports. Like I play basketball and softball once a week, but it's like just the act of running has like never been like my forte.
Sure.
So once the project came up, it was like, all right, like I'm gonna push myself to actually like run and like experience it, and the graphics that came out of it was just like my struggle essentially with running and kind of going through that experience. So it's very like I feel super truthful and just like a real talk kind of way of looking at I'm definitely not sugarcoating it or anything. It's just like, yeah, I really hate this, or this is the last thing I want to be doing, but kind of working through that pain, and eventually I was starting to kind of like see the benefits and starting to enjoy it. So that's where some of the other more positive stuff came into it. But I just tried to have fun with it and just be as honest with it as possible.
And were you worried at all that like, not, I mean, I didn't see anything that was really negative about running, but running's a struggle. It hurts.
Yeah.
It doesn't, there's moments that feel good. There's moments that don't, all that. Right. And so were you worried at all that like Nike wasn't going to, was only going to want the rah-rah, like?
No, I think they actually, they really latched on to the stuff that was more like raw like that. Yeah. And there's some stuff that they use that I actually didn't think would fly. That there's like one that just says I can't feel my legs. Like I didn't think they would go for that. And there was obviously some that didn't make it because there was some sort of music reference or something.
Oh,
there's just so many legal issues that you have to go through. But the stuff that actually made it through, some of it was actually kind of surprising that it made the cut. But
that's cool.
Yeah, like I was saying with like, I think they really like this new fresh take on like someone that isn't this like elite hardcore runner, and how they feel about it. So, and just something new and fun for the category in general. So it worked out really well.
Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, most of the fun is like either in basketball
or lifestyle,
or
skateboarding, like that sort of thing.
So I used to be a runner. I'm not.
Okay.
But yeah,
you're not elite, but
no, I'm definitely not elite. But I don't even run at all anymore. But like I cycle and I play tennis.
Oh, nice.
And like both of those, like
I like tennis. I haven't played in a while, but
the gear, tennis has gotten a little better.
Yeah.
But not really.
Well, it's probably gone downhill since the Agassi days.
Well, yeah. Although that's like more, I don't know. I didn't play tennis back then, but like it was a lot of neon.
Yeah.
Like Dayglow, whatever.
Yeah.
But some of the Federer stuff is cool.
Yeah.
But it's still very like out of touch with where style is at.
Yeah.
In general, Nike just came out with like a Federer Kyrie mashup sneaker, which is dope.
Yeah.
But like most of it's pretty ugly.
Yeah.
And and Nike's the only one that's making stuff that's not horrible.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to do a tennis line next.
But so it's good to see when like that starts to expand.
Yeah, just kind of experiment with it more, give it some more personality, and I mean, people are always going to want to just wear the like basic stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's
But
fun to
there's
shake it up. And
Well,
just
and
do
there's
something different.
generations. My buddy Adam Weissman. I don't know if you know Adam, but
I don't know, I
he's
think
been
so.
on the show a couple of times, and he just left Stussy. He was a designer there
Oh,
for
cool.
like 20 years.
Nice.
So he's a big tennis player.
Okay.
And he plays in the Agassiz.
Oh, nice.
Right? That
Yeah,
are
classic.
like not nearly as good performance-wise
Yeah.
as the Federers, right? Just because they're 30 years old.
Yeah.
But style-wise, they're way better.
Yeah.
So like you suffer.
No, I have that problem too. I prefer like a lot of the older style stuff, but then you like put it on and you're like, I don't remember it being this
Sure.
like harsh on your feet compared to the
totally.
new technology.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm definitely wearing the running shoes all the time now because
Oh, man, it's so
the
comfortable.
comfort is amazing.
It's crazy.
Can't go back. Like those React ones, they're like
Yeah.
the lightest shoe I've ever owned.
Are they?
Yeah, they're incredible.
I haven't put those on yet, but yeah, I'm sure.
I'm actually doing a run this weekend too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So now you're a runner.
Well, I'm trying. It's really short too. It's only like a 2-mile one.
Uh-huh.
But for me, I'm gonna be dragging myself through the whole thing.
That's cool.
But yeah, a
good.
friend of mine started this thing called Silver Lake Track Club. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. We'll see how it goes.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully there's no one filming me or something. Call me out on the internet. Like, this guy is not elite whatsoever.
You gotta like
He is-
hide behind somebody.
Yeah, he's
while you-
crawling around.
That's
yeah, I'll
hilarious.
wear a disguise maybe.
So now, like, how do you decide? And I don't know how much you've been faced with this, but how do you decide what projects to take on and what to say no to?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of just a case-by-case thing.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, the more freedom I have, the better. Similar to this Nike one, where
Yeah.
because obviously I'm not going to do anything that seems forced or weird, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know, just something that's like somewhat of an elevation to what I've already done. Either be like a new type of product or a new, like last year I did like my first big mural for the first time out
Oh,
in
cool.
Detroit. So,
Nice.
something like that where it's like I've never done something on that big of a scale.
Yeah.
Um,
I saw you did a wine.
oh yeah, I did like
Brand?
a while back a little like
Yeah.
wine can collaboration. Yeah, just something that's new and fresh and like either expanding on like a new skill set, like making a mural, or something that's just like a type of brand or product that I've never worked with before.
Have you had stuff? I mean, I'm not gonna ask you who it is, but like that felt too forced that you said no to.
I mean, nothing really comes to mind.
Okay.
I'm sure there's been.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen.
I mean, I definitely don't take on everything, but
Right.
there hasn't been anything that comes to mind that was just like, yeah, this isn't gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And is there stuff like? So I know you have an agency.
Mm-hmm.
Is there stuff that you'll do as an agency, but you won't put your name to? I mean, I'm sure they don't ask you to put your name on everything, or maybe they do.
No. It's usually pretty separate.
Right.
There was a little bit of crossover with the Vans stuff, but
Mhm.
yeah, usually I try and keep them pretty separate.
Yeah.
As me, the artist, and then our agency work.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, sometimes there's some crossover.
Yeah.
For sure. And obviously any time we do stuff with the agency that's kind of hand drawn or
Right.
my style, you'll see the connection there.
So how does let's talk about the style a little bit, because you you use a lot of words.
Mm-hmm.
I just had Defer on,
Okay.
and Retina, who
Yeah.
both like.
Yeah, I listened to the Retina one.
Yeah, he's wild, man. His business is crazy.
Yeah.
Right. But like those guys are more like the letters are the art more so than the words
Yeah.
themselves, right?
Yeah.
I just read this book, A Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain.
I'll have to check
That's
that
supposed
out.
to teach people who can't draw
Oh, okay.
how to draw.
I mean, I can't really draw, so I should read that.
It's a great book, and it's got all these exercises and stuff
Okay.
you're supposed to do that I'm struggling through. But but it makes this argument that I had never thought of, which is that writing is drawing.
Okay,
Right? Like
I'd agree with that.
It was like you're drawing letters.
Yeah.
You just don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking about the meaning of the words.
Yeah.
But it's drawing, right?
No, I definitely 100% agree with
Well,
that.
yeah. Looking at your art,
Yeah.
I was like, well, yeah.
Because even if it like looks like something I drew in 2 seconds, or it's like very loose and gestural, I definitely thought about like the medium and like the size
Sure.
and how I did certain letters and how they're spaced. Like, because the kind of the fine art side of my work and the text-based stuff is almost like I'm competing with the design side of my brain.
Mhm.
Like it's kind of trying to tap into it and use it effectively, but also kind of shut it off at the same time, where I'm like not trying to overthink it and like work really quickly, and because
Wow.
it's the opposite from the design world, where I'm like going over revisions and revisions
Sure.
and working with the client and having their input, and like
Yeah.
it's a lot different way of working with, but with that's why with the fine art stuff, I'm just kind of trying to work as quickly as I can think and use a lot of different mediums but yeah, there's that relation with what I was saying about working in like an office job and still using my writing and in a marketing sense, but then bringing that's why it was so natural for the fine art side to kind of still bring that over and use the written word and use typography and in the fine art work. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's been kind of a weird transition. Like it's one that like it wasn't a conscious thing of like of this plan of like how it was all going to work out. But now looking back, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like why my work looks this way and where it started, and yeah, it's kind of a cool timeline that it ended up working out that way.
So how conscious are you of like your style changing?
Yeah, that's definitely something I think about, because I really I'm jealous of people that are very kind of set in a certain style and have this certain look. But I also, knowing myself, I get really bored with doing something too repetitive and too kind of stuck in this like regimented look and feel. So I guess for me, I'm just trying to find that balance of like, if you see it, you'll know that it's something I did, but
Right.
it's not necessarily in this like very kind of specific look. I mean, it's hard to explain. Like, plus for me, it's like I almost have this kind of ADD way of making work, where it's like,
How do you mean?
just like, oh, I've used this pen for like, a couple hours. Like I want to move on to like another material. Like
Yeah.
now I want to start painting, or now I want to like use some ink. So that's what you see in a lot of my work. It's like all over the place, and that's just kind of the way I'm like working through the process. And yeah, I guess luckily when you see it all together, like with the Nike collection, it's like it all makes sense when you see the full collection. But I guess I'm just trying to bring that into the paintings too, where it's like it may be all over the place, but it still has this like distinct style.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, looking at the Nike collection, like that doesn't seem like it's all over the place. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess at some point it's curated and like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
decide what to use and whatever, and it all fits together.
yeah.
But it's funny. Who was James? Who was that artist? Was it Revoke? When we went to Rogers, there was one artist that he was showing. I forget who it was, and he was saying like this new collection wasn't selling because it was so different from what he was known for.
Yeah.
And Roger was like, in 2 years, this is going to sell out,
Yeah.
and people are going to want this,
Yeah.
and then he'll move on to something else, right? And so I think there's always that distance between the artist and the fan or the viewer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um,
No, that makes sense. Yeah. Because for that show in 2017, that solo show, I've been trying to move away from it, but because of that collection and because of just like people responding to it like later, I'm like tied to it, even though I'm personally wanting to move on from like maybe doing that type of work and that. But I keep kind of getting pulled back to it. So it's like, yeah, how do you kind of push ahead and like keep expanding on the practice, but at the same time appeasing like people that are into a certain like body of work.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Magic Retina is like, I don't want that alphabet anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, people still want to buy it.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes down to like, if are you trying to just sell work or just do stuff for yourself or.
Sure.
Like, I mean, if you're lucky, you're in a position where you don't have to worry about money, and then you can kind of just do whatever you want.
Yeah, that'd be cool. What's that like?
In a perfect world. But yeah, just trying to like be true to like a certain style, but at the same time kind of keep pushing myself. I also do like sculptures with like found objects and stuff too, and yeah, just trying. I'm taking like a ceramics class now, so I'm kind of looking at like playing with that type of medium. So yeah, just trying new things and kind of keep pushing myself. And
so you mentioned you have an agency with your wife.
Yeah.
So give us some. I'm always fascinated with partnerships and, you know, how people manage to work together successfully and all that. So give us some tips to partnering with your wife.
I mean, I think every relationship is different and there's different personalities, but for us it just works so well because we have essentially kind of work from two different sides of the brain and have different skill sets, where I'm on this kind of creative art side, and then even though she's, you know, super creative and artistic in her own way, but she comes from more of like a business-minded producer side of the brain, so we, you know, meet perfectly in the middle of like, we help each other, like help me help you type situation. So yeah, it's been great. We've been working on projects together for a long time, and then more recently teamed up to like have our own official like little agency together.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so are you deliberate about kind of what stays at home versus what stays in the office, or does that just happen?
Well, our home is our office,
right?
So it's it's all there, which gets a little tricky at times, especially like the more employees like we have, and more people coming in, and but yeah, I mean, we're kind of just like working through it as it comes. But I think we had enough time together to like work kind of on our work relationship that now we're to a point where it's like it's more casual and like just kind of seems like second nature. I mean, we definitely butt heads on things, but like I said, we kind of we have a good balance and complement each other super well. So it ends up being like a really great situation.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's the goal? What's the next challenge you're trying to tackle?
Well, I have this group show I'm in October.
Yeah.
So I'm working towards just kind of getting a new body of work ready for that.
What can you tell us what the show is?
Yeah, it's called One Another. It's at a little museum spot in San Pedro called Angel's Gate. So yeah, I'm just making it work for that show. There's a couple other projects kind of up in the air, but I don't want to like mention them in case they don't happen.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that happens like way too often, where it's like I'll get so excited about something, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, and then something like falls through, and I'm just like, damn, I sound like I just like make shit up or like.
Well, I mean, I will say
stuff's too flaky. Like it's just there's too many variables for stuff not to happen. But yeah, definitely got a bunch of projects going on. That group show is a big focus, and yeah, just like experimenting with new types of work.
I mean, it's interesting, like you talk about the art versus design, right? And I think, so I've had an agency for 20 years, and there's a lot of hard things about it. One of the hardest is that you have to fully immerse yourself in a pitch,
Mm-hmm.
right? Meaning, in order, in the process of getting the business, and it doesn't matter if you're in a true competitive pitch or
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
right? But in the process of getting a business, you really become immersed in the client's
Yeah.
business and their challenges and all that, right?
Mhm.
And you get emotionally invested in that, and then sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
A lot of times it doesn't happen for a whole bunch of different reasons.
Yeah.
And that balance of like, how to protect yourself from too much time, too much emotional investment,
Mm-hmm.
too much talking about it out to the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a huge distaste for like, what's the word? Like allowing myself to think something's going to happen if it isn't,
Yeah.
right? And I don't like other people that do that, and like, you know what I mean? And so, but that's I think a big challenge.
Yeah. For sure.
It's not like selling a can of paint where it's like it's on the shelf, people either bought it or they didn't. Like you have to really go into it with somebody.
Yeah, we're trying to get better about the whole like pitch thing. We've been fortunate enough to kind of just get jobs from word of mouth or
Mhm.
just people like jumping around to different companies and
Yeah.
stuff. So that's been great. But
That's
we're
how
starting
that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And I would say, I mean, we do everything we can to avoid pitching.
Yeah.
But even then, right? Even then, someone's like, okay, we want to do a thing at South by Southwest.
Mhm.
Well, we still have to put, even if they're like, we want you to do it, we're not going to talk to anybody else. The
Mhm.
job is yours. You still got to put 20 hours into
Yeah.
like figuring out where it's going to be and what everything's going to cost and
Yep.
all of that. And then sometimes they go, oh, actually, our budget just got moved to next quarter, so we'll do something else, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. I mean, that stuff happens.
Yeah, I can definitely relate
constantly.
to that. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't give it up for like going back to like working a 9 to 5, like and commuting
For sure.
forever and
Oh man.
just having the life sucked out of you. So yeah, it's definitely tough. It's a struggle and like can be definitely day to day and hit or miss. But
Yeah.
it's a fun gig.
For sure. So I know music is a big inspiration. Is it still?
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, you see it in my work. Like
Yeah.
there's so many music references in my work, but and just the whole, studio practice of like just constantly having music on. Like I can't work without
Right.
like some sort of like soundtrack to kind of get me working and get me in the right mindset. So yeah, it's a huge part of it.
So how conscious are you about like getting inspired? Meaning, does it just sort of happen naturally, or do you look for certain types of inspiration?
I mean, I kind of find the more you force it, the like less successful you become in
Mhm.
finding inspiration. And I think there is something to be said for being like kind of overly inspired by things and like looking at too much work, and
Yeah.
it's tricky. It's like I've read about some like artists I really like, and one in particular, he's said that like he doesn't go to shows, he doesn't like look at other people's stuff because it's just
Right.
you
Yeah.
you don't want to
For sure.
be overly inspired. You don't want to like consciously steal from someone or have it change your like trajectory. So I don't fully like, I mean, I enjoy going to shows too much and like just supporting other artists and
Yeah.
friends and that sort of thing. So I don't totally go down that path, but I definitely try and be conscious of that, of just like getting little bits of inspiration here and there and just kind of see people's techniques and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
but it's tough, especially nowadays with like everything being so out there and in your face and like easy to find. And
So do you have like a ritual when you sit down to to work?
I'm pretty sporadic. It's
Yeah.
it's not this like kind of conscious like set schedule. It's really just like I feel like I'll work, just in like kind of in different bursts, really.
It's just not like every day.
I mean, it's constant in the sense like I'm always like kind of trying to be conscious of like my surroundings and like
Mhm.
picking up ideas and like always writing notes on my phone and like in little like notepads and stuff.
Yeah.
And just like sketching out stuff. But that process like is always going on in like very consistent. But then as far as like actually making the work, it's like it kind of takes a lot of time to kind of get up to that, and then I'll just be like, all right, now I'm gonna like take these ideas I've been collecting and like kind of edit it down and pick out what I really want to focus on, and then just start making work from there. But yeah, it's a little all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of. But as I was saying earlier, I'm trying to kind of get more in a little bit more of a schedule and focus a little bit more. Try and be as productive as possible and use my time as much as possible. Like,
of course. But I'm sure it's hard. Like you have client projects. You have.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's really tough to kind of prioritize and be as productive as possible. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll ever figure it out, but trying to get good flow going.
Of course, yeah. Do you have a favorite piece that you've collected?
That I've collected? Ooh, damn, that's a good question. A lot of artwork from friends and stuff.
I'm
I
sure.
don't feel bad like calling anyone out specifically.
You don't have to.
Damn. I mean, we have a giant painting at our house/office that our friend Jeremy Shockley, a local artist, gave to us. It's like this massive ghost painting.
Oh, cool.
So that's a cool one. Like, yeah, he's a good friend and super talented, and
Yeah.
it's like so huge too. So it's like
Nice.
this really like eye-catching. Like
I love big art. There's something about it.
yeah. We have like kind of a warehouse space, so it's like we have
yeah,
the walls
cool.
for it, and
Yeah.
it was cool to like get this like giant painting up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a favorite in our collection.
We do too. We live in a kind of a warehouse loft,
Okay.
and so yeah, we have huge walls. I don't have anything that big, but I have 8 shepherd prints
Oh, cool.
that he gave me, and
Nice.
and like, so I put them all up on one wall. That's kind of like
Yeah.
the sort of centerpiece.
Cool. Yeah, we got a lot of artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like a salon wall, and then
Do you hang your own art or no?
I do. I kind of have mixed feelings about it, but my wife like really likes putting stuff up, and I just kind of learned to accept it.
For her, like, I'm sure it's a different.
Yeah.
She has a different relationship to it. Right?
Yeah. And I was in a group show a while back that was like, she had said, you know, we're buying this piece like from the show, like we're not letting someone else get it.
Oh, like your own piece.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So.
That's awesome.
But I mean, it's cool that she's that
Yeah.
supportive and feels that strongly about the work.
Totally.
But yeah, for me, it's like, you know, it's kind of like wearing, even with like shoes from my collection or stuff from the collection, it's like you kind of feel like you're in a band, like wearing your own band T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get better about like, displaying my own work and wearing stuff that I've worked on, and I don't know, it's kind of like a badge of pride, I guess. But I just don't want it to be like kind of cheesy or anything.
No, I get it. But I mean, that's the dilemma, right? Is like, but you know, rappers wear their own gear, right?
Yeah.
And if they don't, no one buys it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with, you know, we talk about basketball, right?
Yeah.
Like, if those guys aren't wearing
Oh
the
yeah,
shoes,
they have to wear their shoes.
well, they have to wear them on the court, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But even now, like out and around, right? You know, if people don't see them supporting their own shit, then they're not going to either. So no, I get it. That's part of the challenge.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I got to get to a lightning round before I let you go.
Okay.
What's your favorite city to travel to?
Ooh. Let's see. This isn't very lightning, is it?
That's okay. Well, James lightnings it up.
Okay. I mean, I'm just gonna say Detroit because I get to visit family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if I'm gonna go more international, I guess I'll say Sausalito, Mexico.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I haven't been, but I keep hearing.
Went there for a
great things.
honeymoon. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's like
Nice.
a quick trip, like
Yeah.
amazing food, like yeah.
So I keep hearing, you know, about the art scene in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Are you following? what's
Yeah,
happening out
yeah, following as much as possible, and I definitely got to be more involved when I did that mural out there.
Yeah.
It was part of the Murals in the Market, this event they do every year.
there? Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's popping off. Yeah, it's really cool to see. They got
Nice.
a really cool scene there.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd love to do more out there, show more work out there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we're trying to support as many artists from there. Yeah.
Who's your favorite DJ?
Favorite DJ? My friend Waldo.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's he play?
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of my DJ mentor. Yeah, like anytime like I get gigs and stuff, it's usually through him.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the last great book you read?
Last great book I read. David Sedaris, what's it called? Engulfed in Flames.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I love his stuff. It's
Yeah.
We were just talking about him last night actually. Like I like those kind of books where it's not this like start to finish story. It's kind
Yeah.
of just like
It's all over.
really
the place.
funny ramblings and short stories and stuff. So that's
I remember the first. It might have been that one, or it was the first book of his I read, and
Mm-hmm.
someone just told me about it. I had no idea who he was or
Yeah.
anything, and I was like, "This is." It took me like halfway through the book to get
Yeah.
it.
I love his sense
And
of
then-
humor.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Randomly Amy Sedaris' brother too.
Yeah,
It's a
That's
crazy,
how- that's
crazy
what-
family. Yeah.
totally. What movie have you seen the most in your life?
Oh man, maybe Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah,
That's got to be up there. I
Such
watch
a
that
good
a
movie.
lot, and it never gets old.
no. It's
Yeah, that's the
best.
one that comes to me first.
Yeah, that's the movie I wish I'd
It's
watched the
classic.
most.
Yeah.
Because it's totally worth it. Tell me one decision that changed your life forever.
I mean, I guess to move to California.
Mm.
Yeah.
Complete the sentence for yourself. I don't have talent. I have blank.
Don't have talent. I have. Shit. Intuition.
It's good. That's a first. That we've had. That's a good answer.
This is a very slow lightning round. Sorry.
They're usually like that. We just call it a lightning round because we couldn't think of a better name. And we have. Do we have a lightning round theme song? Is there? We need like lightning.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, lasers.
Sound effects.
Yeah. Yeah, we slow it down. Yeah, we pitch this down. What? Oh, so if I worked for you, what's something I would hear you say over and over?
Turn the music up.
Cool. Who would you be most excited to learn appreciates your work?
Oh man. Larry David.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I went a whole different route on that one.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I could see. I mean, well, first of all, he wears sneakers.
Yeah, yeah.
So you could probably send him some sneakers.
I know. I should give him some.
And I could see him getting some of the humor.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. That was a great answer. Thanks for doing this, man. This
Yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
How does everybody find you online?
At Nathan Bell on Instagram and nathan-bell.com.
Cool. Well, we'll be watching for the show and the new projects and
Thanks, man.
all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Appreciate it.
Right on.
Thanks for having me.
Good. That was Nathan Bell on Rebel Radio. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Make sure you leave us a review, a comment, what have you, on iTunes, Spotify, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you like, pretty much. You can hit us on Snapchat. We don't have a channel, but just make up your own. At Rebel Radio Net is where you find us on most social media. And most importantly, come back next week for more Rebel Radio. Peace.